Part 135. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 1342. This year's real estate fair was held with great anticipation by all real estate developers. Everyone was holding back their energy and preparing to make a turnaround at the real estate fair. Several companies were actually gritting their teeth and taking advantage of the opportunity. I have to pay the stall fee with a loan shark, but I have to find a way to squeeze in. If I don't squeeze in, I won't have a chance. Although these people take out their business cards, they are still the chairman or general manager of a real estate company, they still live in luxury houses, they still travel in luxury cars, and they still walk around with a belly, but when they calm down and think about it, they will sweat. Of the 100 phone calls, 90 were from debtors, and one was from a loan shark, reminding him that he would have to pay interest tomorrow. Tomorrow, isn't the housing fair going to be held tomorrow? Once the housing fair starts, everything will be fine. Over the past few years, everyone has become accustomed to the fact that the housing fair is a good solution to their financial difficulties. Without the housing fair, who would have the money to auction land in the following land auctions? It is not unreasonable for this land auction to be held 1 week after the spring and autumn housing fairs. There are many capable people in the local government. You can calculate the accounts, and they can calculate things more clearly than you. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan said that the more difficult this time is, the more we must make a loud noise so that others can see our strength. Tan Shahan agrees with Lu Ligan's statement. She also thinks that as long as you are fat, who knows whether your face is fat because of eating it or by getting fat yourself. The real estate industry is also a winner-takes-all industry. The status of the boss really comes with a lot of conveniences. Both the government and the media favor you. This is especially true for home buyers. Their houses in Jingxiu, Zhejiang, are always the most expensive in Hangzhou. Not just because they are the boss, everyone thinks the price is reasonable. As a result, they secured a larger booth than before, covering more than 120 square meters. They also asked Zhang Chen to design it and decorate it carefully. Among the many exhibitors, visitors could tell at a glance that the company is different. Tan Shahan proposed that 2/3 of the booth be used to display several of their projects in Hangzhou, and 1/3 of the booth was used to display their projects across the country. This way, everyone can see our company. It is no longer a company limited to Hangzhou, but a national company. Secondly, what if someone really wants to buy a house in Suzhou, Nanjing, Xiamen, Shanghai, Ningbo, Wuhan, and Hefei? Isn't this just a quick grab? Those real estate speculators from Wenzhou, Taizhou, and Yiwu are traveling all over the country, buying houses anywhere. Both Lu Ligan and Lao Tan thought Tan Shahan's proposal was very good. They also assigned one person from each of these places so that when someone asked about local projects, they would know best and could give answers. Everything is ready, just waiting for the curtain to rise and the real estate show to take place. On the morning of the opening of the real estate fair, Lu Ligan, Tan Shahan, and Lao Tan all went to the company first, and then took a car to go there together. When they arrived at the World Trade Center, they saw it from a distance and felt happy. The opening ceremony hadn't even started yet, but they saw a sea of people in the square in front of the World Trade Center. The event was no less grand than before. It looked like this house fair was going to happen. The iron rule, no exceptions, came into effect again today. The three of them breathed a sigh of relief. Lao Tan went to park the car. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan got off the car and walked towards the gate. Along the way, they met many colleagues and media reporters they knew. Everyone greeted them warmly, and everyone had a smile on their face. Above, all shining with joy. It seems that everyone has reached a consensus on today's grand occasion and results. These media reporters who have been covering real estate news for a long time have almost become integrated with the entire real estate industry. Relying on their familiarity, the bosses of every real estate company will use their face advantage. When others cannot get the house number, they can use C. While they are working as reporters, almost without exception, they are also real estate speculators. Everyone has a house number waiting to be sold, and the depression in the real estate industry is directly related to their wealth and life. This is why the media will immediately take notice of the slightest bit of good news in the real estate industry and make a big noise. They are not objective. Bystanders are also vested interests involved. Seeing that there will be another housing fair with promising results this year, the house number in their hands will no longer worry them from today on. How can their faces not shine with the light of happiness? Tan Shahen and Lu Ligan did not stay outside, but went directly into the exhibition hall with their exhibition badges on their chests and walked to their booths. Their sales director, Xiao Lu, saw them coming and came over to greet them. His face was burning with excitement and he asked excitedly, "Mr. Lu, Mr. Tan, have you seen that there are people outside?" Tan Shahen smiled and said, "I saw it. It looks like today won't be too bad. You should all be prepared." Xiao Lu nodded and said, "Okay, I understand, Mr. Tan." The two people walked to the booth next door. The boss of that company laughed when he saw Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen. It was obvious to everyone that the female vice president of another company came over when she saw Tan Shahen and said to her, "Oh my God, I was so nervous that I didn't fall asleep all night, just because I was worried that the whole exhibition would be deserted today, but it was okay." Lu Ligan teased her, "Then what will you do if it becomes deserted? Go to the street to pick up people." The female vice president rolled her eyes at him and said, "Mr. Tan should go there as well. She has good looks and can attract people. I am as short as a winter melon, so don't scare people away." Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen laughed. Before the event, the two people walked around the exhibition hall. They were in an infinitely good mood. Not only were they in a good mood, but everyone in the entire exhibition hall was in a good mood, and a good mood is contagious. When they walked back to their booth, the Western band outside suddenly played the magnificent Raidsky March, indicating that this housing fair would make great strides forward. The opening ceremony began. They listened to Li Yang's voice faintly coming from outside. Lu Ligan looked at Tan Shahen and said with a smile, "Not bad. This guy has enough tonnage and enough energy to perform in such a big scene. Can hold it down." This housing fair is Li Yang's debut. At the end of last year, Li Yang was just appointed as the executive deputy mayor of Hangzhou City, so it was up to him to make the speech as the leader of the housing fair. As soon as Li Yang stopped speaking, everyone in the exhibition hall fell silent in unison. Everyone stood there, staring in the direction of the door, with their hearts beating wildly. As soon as the door opened, crowds of people rushed in, and the people inside suddenly became lively. As usual, the crowds of people who came in were immediately divided into various booths, looking at models, getting books and information, and asking questions. Every booth was crowded and everyone was busy. But gradually, Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen felt something strange. These people this year either spoke Mandarin or Hangcheng dialect. It seemed that they were basically locals. Those in Wenzhou dialect, Taizhou dialect, Shaoxing dialect, and Yuwu dialect seems to have disappeared from this exhibition hall and can no longer be heard. This is something that has never happened before. In the past, real estate speculators in these places accounted for half of the country. Where have they gone today? Then, the expressions on the faces of Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen became solemn. They found that the locals who poured into the booth basically saw a lot, asked a lot, and took a lot of information. There were very few people who were really willing to buy and book a house. Lu Ligan quietly retreated. He went to look at other booths and found the same situation. When the female vice president saw Lu Ligan, she smiled bitterly at him and shook her head. She came over and whispered to him, "It's bloated, they're all here to mess around. Oh no, They're all here to play. Lu Ligan nodded. He understood that so many people came to Ling Market to see the market, not to buy or book a house. The only thing that was busy was the head count. Surrounded by a large group of people, Li Yong came into the exhibition hall for inspection. He walked into Lu Ligan's booth and stopped. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan greeted him. Li Yong asked Lu Ligan, "How was it?" With so many people here, Lu Ligan couldn't say anything. He could only say, "Thank you for the leader's concern, it's okay, it's okay." But my heart felt like crying without tears. On the second day, compared with the previous day, the entire exhibition had almost half fewer people. Those who were familiar with the market had already been here yesterday and would not come again today. Unless they were willing to buy a house, they would hesitate. Look twice, look three. Lu Ligan stayed in the exhibition hall for less than an hour and then went back. From then on, until the end, he did not appear at the real estate fair again. The real estate fair that all real estate developers had been looking forward to had now turned into a torment for everyone. On the third day, almost all the bosses of the companies were absent, leaving only the sales staff, who were still here to calmly receive those who wanted to buy houses. Buy. Among the visitors, there began to be more and more old men and old ladies. The purpose of their coming was to get free books and information. Every company spent a lot of money on this and used thick-coated paper as waste paper. When it's on sale, it's a good deal and the portion is generous. On the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, there were fewer and fewer people day by day. Amidst loneliness and collective loss, this housing fair finally came to an end. According to statistics from the organizing committee, the number of visitors, commercial housing transaction area and transaction volume of this housing fair all dropped by 32.4% and 281% compared to the previous session. And 201%. Looking at this set of data, Tan Shahan and Lu Ligan said that the situation is not that bad. The transaction area and transaction volume both dropped by more than 200, but the number of visitors is not that terrible, which shows that everyone's desire and impulse to buy a house are still there. They are just frightened by the big situation and dare not take action. Once the situation improves, they will take action immediately. When the time comes, there may be a surge of retaliatory purchases, Tan Shahan said. I hope so, Lu Ligan slumped on the sofa and said weakly. Furthermore, you have to understand that the decrease in the number of visitors, according to what we saw on site, is the lack of foreigners. In this way, the number of locals is actually increasing, Tan Shahan said. What's the use of adding people without sales? Lao Tan asked. Lu Ligan sat up slightly and regained his energy. He said, the proportion of steel demand among locals is higher than that of outsiders. The increase in locals means that although sales have not increased, steel demand is increasing. If steel is needed, they won't be able to hold on for long. Yes, that's what I mean. Tan Shahan looked at Lu Ligan and smiled. Lao Tan understood, he said, that is to say, as long as there is a disturbance, they will move first. Moreover, this wave of macro control has squeezed out the bubble in Hangzhou real estate, which may not necessarily be a bad thing for us, Tan Shahan continued. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Zizhe and Zongkai 727 for your monthly tickets. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1343. The real estate fair was over, and the next step was the land auction a week later. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan had a disagreement about whether to sign up for this land auction. Lu Ligan advocated participating, but Tan Shahan thought they should give up. Lu Ligan said, we can give up in other cities, but how can we do it in Hangzhou? We, Zhejiang Jingxiu, have never been absent from any Hangzhou land auction. Brother, now is the time to survive, not to fight for face. The land reserves we have now are enough. There is no need to buy more land at this time, Tan Shahan said. Such a situation, we still don't know when will it end. If the funds in our accounts dry up, it will kill us. According to your logic, then we don't even need to participate in this housing fair, let alone get the biggest booth. Aren't we competing for face? Lu Ligan said that Tan Shahan was stunned for a moment, but she came back to her senses immediately and said, the one who spent small money is using small money to gain fame. We can still win. Can the land auction be the same? It will probably kill us. The environment is so bad. It is easy to turn money into land. Hold up the sign, it's okay to make money, but it will be difficult to turn the land back into money. When that day comes, it can be said that the sky and the earth will not work, and there will be no way out except letting others slaughter us. Tan Shahan insisted on her own opinion. When she was talking, she saw Lu Ligan shaking his head constantly, which made her upset. After she finished speaking, she shouted, stop shaking your head, talk. I think our judgment that the market demand for steel is still there is correct. As long as the demand for steel is still there, no matter how strict the policy is, this demand will be released. It is just a matter of speed, not whether it is there or not. And, judging from experience, all macro control is most effective and severe in the first 3 months. In the past 3 months, in order to achieve the goals and effects of regulation, the top management will intensively introduce policies, and the lower levels will increase their policies layer by layer, which will be transmitted to society and bring a chilling effect, but this effect will fade over time. As time goes by, people's psychology will also become fatigued, so I feel that the most difficult stage has passed. We can still persevere in the most difficult times, and things will not be worse than this. So I think we are not so pessimistic yet. We should not think about how to live, but how to live. The question of how to survive. What's the difference? Tan Shahan interrupted Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan said, the essential difference is that thinking only about how to live is passive and negative, and struggling to cope, while thinking about how to live is proactive. Thinking about how to live is actually thinking about how to survive. Living a better life is a choice. If you think the land bank we have now is enough, that's just because you are at this point in time. But if the market picks up, will you still think our land bank is enough? It is definitely far from enough. I judge that because the outcome of this real estate fair is not ideal, the land bidding, auction, and listing this time will be very deserted, and the price of land will not be high. It is just the time when we can enter. If we can get it at the lowest price at this time, by acquiring even a piece of land, we can reduce our land costs. When we have the land at the next land auction, we will dare to raise the price with others, because on average, our land cost will still be lower than most of their companies. This is an ideal situation, you said. Tan Shahan said, what if the next land auction price is lower than this time? Impossible, I said, the worst situation is over, Lu Ligan said. Also, you see, although the real estate sales are terrible now, the housing prices in Hangzhou have not dropped as everyone expected. Why? Explain. Every company is still reluctant to sell. The reason for the reluctance to sell is that the situation in the past 2 years has been so good that everything that can be sold has been sold in advance, and there is no land left in hand. Everyone is short of land, which will also create demand for steel in the land market. Land is only tendered and auctioned twice a year. They can miss this auction, and at most one more autumn auction, and they can still even absent next year? Then he should pack up and leave, and don't stay in this industry. When everyone comes back into the market, will the land price be cheaper? Can you let me think about it? Tan Shahan looked at Lu Ligan and said, I admit that what you said makes sense, but I have to think about it carefully and settle the accounts. Okay, Lu Ligan nodded. Tan Shahan thought about it all night and spent a morning in the finance department. She walked into Lu Ligan's office and told him that we were going to Hong Kong. If this trip to Hong Kong can meet expectations, I will agree. There will be another move at this auction, otherwise, even if you fire me, the money in the account cannot be touched. Why go to Hong Kong? Lu Ligan was confused. Let's cash in what we can cash now, Tan Shuhen said. Lu Ligan understood and asked, are you talking about the rent of the Podium building in Hangcheng Center? Yes, all we can realize now are land, houses, and the leasehold rights of the Podium building in the center of Hangzhou, Tan Shuhen said. You can't sell the land to buy land. It is not realistic to realize the house now. The only way is to realize it right away. What is realized is the leasehold right in Hangzhou Center. But according to the original letter of intent, wouldn't the formal agreement be signed in the second half of this year? Lu Ligan asked. Yes, so we are going to Hong Kong and not only require them to sign the agreement now, but also require that the rent paid once every 5 years be changed to 8 or 10 years. In return, we can allow them to enter the site early and pay the rent in advance. If you go up, you can also give discounts, Tan Shuhen said. Lu Ligan said yes, I will contact him immediately. When will he go? The sooner the better. If we don't catch up with the land auction, it will be meaningless, Tan Shuhen said. In the evening of the same day, Lu Ligan and Tan Shuhen went to Hong Kong. This trip to Hong Kong went very smoothly. 5 years was changed to 10 years. This was what the other party needed. As a large shopping mall, there is no one that lasts for more than 10 consecutive years. They can't make money by running the business. Although the rent is paid once every 10 years, their cost of capital has increased. But conversely, the rent paid in advance for these 10 years is equivalent to locking in their operating costs for 10 years. The mainland is experiencing a slump in real estate, not that other industries are in slump. On the contrary, other industries are overheated, otherwise there would be no need for macro control. They are very optimistic about the mainland market, including the increase in the number of middle class every year, and their presence in Beijing. And the revenue from shopping malls that have opened in Nanjing all prove that their choice is right. In return, Lu Ligan and the others agreed that the other party would enter the site for renovations half a year in advance, and this half year was not included in the lease period. This was a great discount for the other party, which was enough to offset the cost of paying rent for 5 more years. For Lu Ligan and the others, there is not much difference between allowing the opponent to enter now or entering in the second half of the year as originally planned. The two parties signed an agreement quickly. The other party's rent was also remitted from their company in the mainland, so there was no problem of cross-border remittance. By the time Lu Ligan and Tan Shuhen returned to Hangzhou, the money had already been credited to their accounts, and now they were preparing to attend the land auction. Before attending the land auction, Tan Shuhen drew a red line. She told Lu Ligan that the amount of funds used in this auction could not exceed 800 million. This land auction is different from the real estate fair. It was held under a situation where everyone was generally not optimistic. Only 2/3 of the companies participating in the auction, and even these 2/3 of the companies, everyone was holding the hope of marrying the real estate. The visitors at the fair had the same feeling. They came to Ling Market to see the market. They had no plans to acquire land and did not have the funds. When everyone in the same group saw it, they smiled bitterly and shook their heads. There was a pessimistic atmosphere in the venue. The organizer also knows that this auction may not be satisfactory, so this auction, even the usual scene of a long row of leaders sitting behind the auction table on the stage, no more. Director Chu just announced the auction and it started. Before the auction, Director Chu saw Lu Ligan and Tan Shuhen arriving, walked over in a square step, and whispered to Lu Ligan, "You guys, give me some face, you are not allowed to just watch a show today." He knew in advance that many people came today just to watch the show. Lu Ligan pretended to be in mourning. He said, "How can I get on stage if I can't even afford the clothes?" "Get lost." Director Chu ignored Lu Ligan, turned around and said to Tan Shuhen, Keep an eye on this kid and let me kick him on stage. Tan Shahen could only smile. The land acquisition and storage center itself was not optimistic about this auction, so they set a record by only putting up a total of 4 pieces of land for auction. These 4 pieces of land are all in the old city of Hangzhou and should be the most sought after land. This time, in order to attract popularity, the price was raised all the way, knowing that it would never be the same as before. They had no choice but to bear the pain and take it out. The auction started. The first piece of land was located on Wen First Road. The starting price was 380 million, with each increase of 500,000. Lu Ligan raised his sign, and Jinda Real Estate raised the price to 380 million. 1,000 and 500,000, Lu Ligan added again. The opponent did not continue to add, but smiled, and made a please gesture to Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan won with 381 million. The venue suddenly became commotion. Everyone expected that today's auction would be cold, but they didn't expect it to be so cold. The second piece of land was in Huanglong, not far from Lu Ligan's splendid home. The starting price was 438 million. After the auctioneer called out the price, no one raised a placard. Everyone was surprised again. Tan Shahen quickly calculating in her mind, although the total price of this piece of land plus the previous one has exceeded her original expectation of 800 million, it is still within the affordable range. The most important thing is that the location and price of this land are really attractive. Tan Shahen said to Lu Ligan when the auctioneer paid 438 million for the second time. Lu Ligan raised his sign and won the land at the starting price. The next 2 pieces of land were rejected because no one responded. Everyone stared at Lu Ligan. As soon as Lu Ligan's hand moved, it was held tightly by Tan Shahen. He hadn't touched it for several years. Hands. Unexpectedly, the first time to shake hands was on this occasion. Lu Ligan could only smile bitterly in his heart. The entire auction only lasted for 20 minutes and ended in a somewhat embarrassing manner. Tan Shahen held Lu Ligan's hand and only let go at this time. The land in Hangzhou failed to be auctioned, and it was land in the core area. It quickly became news. You must know that this is the first time since Hangzhou implemented land bidding, auction, and listing. In the past, this land auction was unprecedented. In places where the king of land is legendary, some land is now unsold. But this is just the beginning. Unsuccessful land auctions seem to have a resonance effect throughout Zhejiang. Not long ago, at the bidding meeting for the use rights of 8 government-reserved land held in Jiashan, 5 of them failed to be auctioned. On May 12, 4 real estate land parcels were auctioned in Qiqiao, Shaoxing, and only 1 transaction was completed. On May 13, among the 5 plots of land for sale in Ningbo, 2 residential plots of land failed to be sold. Winter is not over yet, snow is falling one by one. Thank you, Tin Soldier, for reading the book every day and ranking third from top to bottom for the reward. Thank you for your monthly votes from Zhengqi, Qingdao Lasun, Bifang, Super Large Smoke Ash, and Guandian Electrical and Mechanical. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1344. Xiaofang called Zhang Chen and told him that when she came back from the United States the day after tomorrow. Zhang Chen held the phone in his hand and thought, time flies so fast. In a flash, it has been more than a year since Xiao Zhao left them, and Xiaofang went to the United States. It's also been a year. Zhang Chen, Xiaoshu, and Yao Fen went to Shanghai Pudong Airport to pick up Xiaofang. Xiaofang had been alone in the United States for a year and had matured a lot. When he saw her walking towards them with a smile, Zhang Chen fell into a trance. He felt that it was Xiao Zhao who was walking towards them. It wasn't until the little tree next to him called second sister that Zhang Chen woke up. On the way back to Hangzhou, Xiao Fang told Zhang Chen that she had 3 months of vacation and would not return to the United States until the end of August. Zhang Chen and Xiao Fang said that they should not be in a hurry to come back during the holidays. They would wander around the east and west coasts of the United States. When they arrive in the United States, they must understand the United States thoroughly. Xiao Fang nodded and said, "I miss you." After a while, he said again, "I miss my sister very much." When we returned to Hangzhou and were about to pass by the Meisi River, Xiao Fang said that she wanted to see the painting of Xiaoshu first. She burst into tears when she saw the photo on the internet. Zhang Chen agreed, turned the car left and went to the Lakeside Oil Painting Gallery. After parking the car in the parking lot, the four of them walked towards the oil painting gallery. When they reached the door, Xiaoshu stopped and squatted down at the door and did not follow. They continued walking, and when Zhang Chen was about to ask him what was wrong, Yao Fen pulled his sleeve and winked. After the three people entered, Yao Fen K and Zhang Chen said, "I don't dare to look. Every time I go in and out of here, I always walk past with my head down." Zhang Chen understood. Looking at Xiao Fang again, she was already standing in front of sister in a daze, with tears rolling down her face. Others who were walking in and out of the oil painting studio looked at her in surprise and then at the painting. What surprised them was that this girl looked so much like the girl in the painting. A girl about the same age as Xiao Fang came over. She stood beside Xiao Fang and watched, with tears streaming down her face. "Is that you in the painting?" the girl asked. Xiao Fang shook her head, "No, my sister." "What's up with her?" "No more." "Oh, what a pity," the girl sighed, "you and your sister look so alike. Your sister must be very nice to you." Xiao Fang said, "Yes, my sister and I are very good, and she is very good with everyone." The two girls stood there and started talking. Zhang Chen and Yao Fen walked aside. Zhang Chen asked Zhao Xian for a picture album from their lakeside oil painting gallery. The first page of the album was Sister. The album was printed by Chu Tianlin and the others. The picture was very restored and clear. Zhang Chen gave it to Xiao Fang and talked with her. Said, "This is clearer than what is found online." Returning to Splendid Home, Zhang Chen asked Xiao Fang, "Should I go to see my parents first or?" "I want to see my sister first and tell her I'm back," Xiao Fang said. Zhang Chen said yes. Xiao Fang still stayed in her original room. Xiaoshu helped Xiao Fang carry her luggage up. As soon as Xiao Fang entered the room, the first thing she ran to was Zhang Chen's bedroom and closed the door. After a while, Zhang Chen and Xiaoshu Yao Fen heard Xiao Fang crying from the room. They went to Zhang Chen's parents' house. Xiao Zhao's parents had been waiting here for a long time. Xiang Nan and Xiang North were much taller than when Xiao Fang left a year ago. When they saw Xiao Fang again, Fang, both of them are a little shy. They no longer call Aunt Xiao Fang like they did when they were children, and just pounce on her. Instead, they waited until Xiao Fang waved to them and asked them to come over. Then the two of them went over and took Xiao Fang's hand. However, after this contact, the two of them refused to let go of Xiao Fang and followed her all the time. During dinner, Tan Shuhen and Lu Ligan also came. When Tan Shuhen saw Xiao Fang, she said that Xiao Fang is already an adult and looks more and more like Xiao Zhao. Xiao Fang's parents told her about Zhang Chen and He Hungmei when she called back. Zhang Chen and Xiao Fang returned to the house where they lived. Xiao Fang asked Zhang Chen, "Brother-in-law, how are you and sister Hungmei doing now?" "Very good," Zhang Chen said. "Then why aren't you married yet?" "Sister Hungmei is not young anymore." "Brother-in-law, sister Hungmei is very nice. Moreover, if you get married, my sister will be very relieved, I know," Xiao Fang said. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "What do you know?" "I know that if I leave you and Bai Bei to sister Hungmei, my sister will feel relieved and will definitely be very happy. I know too, Zhang Chen said. Xiaofang, do you know what your sister said to me in the ward at the end of her life? She asked you to marry Sister Hongmei, and she also told you that Sister Hongmei will be very good to Bai Bei, Xiaofang said. Zhang Chen was surprised and asked, how do you know? We are all staring at you in the corridor outside. We can't hear the sound, and we can't read lips. Not only do I know, but Sister Zhen Zhen and Sister Tianlin also know, and Sister Hongmei also knows. Everyone knows. At that time, my sister was most worried about you and Bai Bei. Zhang Chen nodded, he sighed, and said, I also know that Hongmei is very good. She was indeed very good when we were together, but it is impossible for us to get married. Why? Xiaofang asked. Zhang Chen told Xiaofang what Hongmei said to him, and Xiaofang fell silent. When Hongmei came to Hangzhou, Xiaofang followed Zhang Chen to pick her up at Xiaoshan Airport. When the two saw her, they shouted in Chongqing dialect from afar, and then hugged each other, jumping up and down. When Xiaofang came back, Hongmei did not go to live in the international building. Instead, she slept with Xiaofang as before. After taking a bath, the two of them sat on the bed and talked endlessly. Soon they talked about Zhang Chen. Xiaofang looked at Hongmei and said frankly, Sister Hongmei, my sister handed over my brother-in-law and Bai Bei to you. Why aren't you married yet? Do you dislike my brother-in-law? Zhang Xiangbei? Zhenjui, how could I dislike Bai Bei? Hongmei scolded. What's the reason? Xiaofang asked. Is it because my brother-in-law always has my sister in his heart? Hongmei nodded, yes. Stingy, my sister is no longer here, and you still care about me, Xiaofang said. Hongmei looked at her and sighed, I'm not caring, I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? Xiaofang was surprised and asked. Your brother-in-law always has your sister in his heart. I'm afraid that when we get married, he will always compare me with your sister. Even if he doesn't want to, he will do it subconsciously. When he looks at me, he will think, Xiao Zhao wouldn't say that. Xiao Zhao will not do this, Xiao Zhao does this, Xiao Zhao does that, as if we are not two people together, but three people living together, that will cause trouble and problems. Hongmei paused and then said, I don't want to compete with your sister either. Then why are you together again? You said that subconsciously, after getting married, he will compare subconsciously. When you are together now, are you not afraid that he will also compare? Xiaofang asked. There is no obligation now. It's better to compete. If he thinks I'm not as good as your sister, just walk away. You don't have to pay attention to me. Once you get married, he will want to walk away but can't. If he thinks like this in his heart, he's just pretending on the surface. If you become like that, over time, people will become hypocritical. I don't want that, and I don't want your brother-in-law to become like that. That will make me lose confidence in people, Hongmei said. When Hongmei was talking, Xiaofang kept staring at her, which made her feel bad and cursed, why are you looking at me? Xiaofang shook her head and said, I don't know whether you have low self-esteem or self-confidence, or both. Sometimes it's really like this. You are confident because of low self-esteem, or conversely, you have low self-esteem because of self-confidence. Like two sides of the same coin. Everyone has a process, and after they have experienced it, they will leave traces of their memories. Not to mention my sister and my brother-in-law, who have lived together for more than 10 years. It's me. I had a crush on our squad leader when I was young. Now that I think about it, I still have his image in my mind. What should I do? Do you want me to open my head and clean it? Sister Hongmei, don't tell me. You have never had such an experience. You have never had such a man in your mind. Since kindergarten, the only thing you have thought about is my brother-in-law. Are you sure there is? You can put your "Are you going to wash away your memory? If you can't wash it away, why do you ask my brother-in-law to wash away my sister? Isn't this too unfair? Oh, these are two different things. I'm not asking your brother-in-law to wash away your sister. If he really wants to wash away your sister, I will still think that he is heartless and unjust." He Hongmei said. "By the way, Yaomei, you have a boyfriend." Xiaofang shook her head, and He Hongmei laughed ha and cursed. "Look at you, a person who has never even been in a relationship. You don't know the heights of heaven and earth. Here you are discussing love and marriage issues with me, and you still talk about the same thing. Why can't we talk about it?" Xiaofang said, unconvinced. "You have had several bad relationships, what's the big deal? I'm trying to reason with you. Yamei, you haven't been in love before, so you can't understand many things. Do you understand? You have seen pigs running, but you are not a pig. You don't know why they run. The same is true between men and women. There is no reason to explain. Just rely on feeling," He Hongmei said. "What does it feel like? After all, I am still stingy," Xiaofang said. "No," He Hongmei said. "That is. It is not. It is, it is. It's not, it's not, it's not." The two people started bickering as they spoke, and finally fell to the side laughing. "No, just wait," Xiaofang said and got out of bed. He Hongmei asked, "What are you going to do?" "I'll call my sister and ask her to come here to listen to us and make comments," Xiaofang said. "Just go." He Hongmei also got out of bed. The two of them walked outside and reached the door of Zhang Chen's room. Xiaofang reached out and knocked on the door, shouting, "Brother-in-law, open the door." Zhang Chen came over, opened the door, looked at the two people standing at the door and asked, "What's going on?" Xiaofang pointed behind Zhang Chen and said to him, "We want my sister to sleep with us." He Hongmei smiled and said, "Don't you want her to comment?" "Yeah, sleep with us, and she listens when we talk." "If you talk nonsense, I will let her scold you," Xiaofang said. "You're talking nonsense," He Hongmei scolded. Zhang Chen didn't know what the two of them were talking about, but weren't they always like this when they were together? Zhang Chen smiled and stepped aside. Xiaofang walked in and picked up Xiao Zhao's urn. He Hongmei picked up Xiao Zhao's portrait and said to Xiao Zhao in the painting, "Let's go, Xiao Zhao, let's go teach this Yaomei a lesson." "Moo moo moo." Xiaofang stretched out her head and made a face at He Hongmei. "Thank you to the evergreen Emperor Yan for the reward of 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Guzio Kyokyu, Eternal Emperor Yan, and book friend 201809062232049344 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1345. Zhang Chen closed the door, walked back to the bed and sat down. He looked at the empty bedside table and reached out to touch the countertop where Xiao Zhao's urn was originally placed. The bedside table was cold, and he seemed to hear Xiao Zhao's voice again, "Cool." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "It's not cold. You are at Xiaofang's place. With Xiaofang and Hongmei here, how can you be cold? You 3 Sichuan girls are lying on the same bed. You can't say that one night." After saying that, Zhang Chen laughed again, thinking that when Xiao Zhao was here and He Hongmei came, they would always squeeze into Xiaofang's bed, leaving him alone in the room to guard the vacancy. They didn't know where he came from. He talked so much that he fell asleep and woke up and fell asleep again, but Xiao Zhao still didn't come back. If words are products and can be manufactured, these 3 women must be as good as Zhao's Hailong. They can form a small assembly line and constantly create topics. Zhang Chen saw that it was still early, stood up, went out and sat down on the sofa in the living room, turned on the TV and started watching. After searching through all the channels, they were all boring and there was nothing interesting to watch. Zhang Chen simply opened the DVD, inserted a copy of The Romance of the Three Kingdoms and started watching. The episode I picked out at random is the 35th episode, The Bitter Meat Strategy. At the beginning, Soldier ran into Zhou Yu's tent and reported to the governor that a ship from the north of the Yangtze River had arrived at the mouth of the river. It was CAO's subordinates Cai Zhong and Cai He. Bring hundreds of soldiers to surrender. Lu Su asked, do you have any young women and children with you? Soldier said no. Zhou Yu, Zhuge Liang, and Lu Su knew that this was a false surrender. Yes, if you are half acting, how can you not let people see through it? At this critical moment, which man would throw his wife and children in Cao Yang to be beheaded? This is not a fake surrender, the details are still there. It's really important. Many times, it's the details that betray you. Zhang Chen became interested. He has watched this set of The Romance of the Three Kingdoms many times. Every time he watches it, he will find many such details. This is probably the reason why he keeps watching. The entire Chinese society is composed of the Three Kingdoms and water margin is composed of water margin. If you understand these two dramas, it is equivalent to understanding the context of Chinese people passing down from generation to generation. Zhang Chen finished watching the 35th episode and was about to watch the 36th episode of Pang Tong Xian Lian Lian when Xiaofang's door opened. Xiaofang and He Hongmei laughed when they saw Zhang Chen sitting outside. Chen was puzzled by their laughter and asked, what's so funny? Guo, we were just trying to find you, He Hongmei said. What's the matter? Zhang Chen asked. Yao Mei said she was hungry, He Hongmei said. Xiaofang quickly shouted, didn't you say you were hungry too? Zhang Chen smiled and said, okay, I'm hungry too, what do you want to eat? I'm going to Tuxianjiayuan, Xiaofang shouted immediately. Zhang Chen said yes. He looked at his watch and saw that it was not 11 o'clock yet. He picked up his mobile phone and called Hui Huan and asked her to help arrange a box. When the three of them walked outside, Zhang Chen said, let's take that lonely old man with us. Both He Hongmei and Xiaofang knew who he was talking about. Xiaofang shouted, okay, I want to see the guy pull his hair. Yeah, let's drink and eat, and let him work hard on the side, He Hongmei said, and the three of them left. Zhang Chen called Lu Ligan and told him to pick him up and go to Tuxianjiayuan for supper. When they arrived downstairs at the dynamic zone, they saw Lu Ligan had gone downstairs with a security guard and two people. Sitting by the fountain and smoking, Lu Li stood up when he saw Zhang Chen's car arriving. Sichuan girl, here you go again? From now on, when you go in and out of Hangzhou, you have to buy a ticket. Lu Lizan got into the car and shouted when he saw He Hongmei. If you didn't tell me, I would have forgotten to clear the accounts and clear the accounts today, He Hongmei said. What kind of bill should I settle? Lu Ligan said with a smile, there are people here who look like they are paying automatically. If you go to Tuxianjiayuan, you won't even see the bill. Zhang Chen glanced sideways at Lu Ligan, while He Hongmei and Xiaofang laughed wildly. They ate at Tuxianjiayuan until 2 o'clock. Lu Ligan accepted Xiaofang's invitation and of course performed his famous hey hey hey. Xiaofang also sang a few English songs. Seeing Xiaofang singing, Zhang Chen felt he is a composite of him and Xiao Zhao, and he feels happy in his heart. After living independently in the United States for a year, he feels that Xiaofang has truly matured. She is no longer the shy little girl, but a cheerful, confident, and straightforward older girl. Zhang Chen is really like an elder, feeling happy from the bottom of his heart. It was He Hongmei who drove back. They put Lu Lipol down in the dynamic zone, and the three of them returned to splendid home. I went upstairs and entered the room. My stomach was still full, so I went to sit on the sofa. Xiaofang looked at He Hongmei and then at Zhang Chen. They both knew that she had something to say, so they looked at her. Xiaofang said, Sister Hongmei, I heard that when you go to Hangzhou, you have to stay in a hotel, right? He Hongmei blushed and said, what, you want to save me money? No, Xiaofang shook her head, I'm staying in a hotel. I can't feel like home. How nice it is here. No matter how far I go, I will always think of this as my home. That day, the plane was about to arrive at Pudong Airport. When I landed, the first thought that immediately came to my mind was, we're home. Will you feel this way when the plane is about to land at Xiaoshan Airport? He Hongmei looked at Xiaofang and was speechless. Zhang Chen also turned his head to the side. Xiaofang looked at them and continued. Brother-in-law, Sister Hongmei, you are both good people, adults, and smart people. I am not talking nonsense. I think you must have the ability to face problems and solve them. This is my home, and my sister's home, Sister Hongmei, should also be your home. This sounds complicated, right? Actually, it's not complicated at all. We are a family. It's as simple as that. I also know why you still go to the hotel. I understand, Sister Hongmei, don't you mean that when you and your brother-in-law are together, it feels like are three people together? Yes, this is reality. You are three people together. There is no way that my sister is missing among you. But my sister is no longer here. This is also a fact. Therefore, she will still be at home, always there, and in our hearts. But she should not be the center of the family, let alone the source of problems and conflicts. Brother-in-law, can I tell you something? Zhang Chen said. Yes, you say it. In fact, I have decided on this matter. Whether you agree or not, you must do it. From today on, my sister will be in my room. If you miss her and want to talk to her, come to me. In terms of the room, it will still be the same after I leave. You can miss her, but she can no longer stay with you day and night. She has a place in your heart, but in reality, Sister Hongmei should be the first, not my sister. You must be able to grasp this balance, otherwise no woman can stand it. Really? Sister Hongmei, the same goes for you. Don't be stingy. You and my brother-in-law still have a long way to go in the next few decades. But my sister and my brother-in-law have been together for more than 10 years. He will definitely have her in his heart. Otherwise, even if he is ruthless and unrighteous, you will not like him. You are a family of 3, no, a family of 4, and by Bay, no, more, and maybe east and west in the future. Xiaofang said. He Hongmei looked at her with wide eyes. Xiaofang smiled and said, why, it won't happen? I believe you will be fine together, even if you have Xiangdong, it will be the same. Zhang Chen laughed, and He Hongmei sighed, you little sister. What's wrong with me? Xiaofang asked. You don't have a boyfriend. It's a real loss for men, He Hongmei said. Xiaofang laughed. She said, yes, my existence is to make men feel sorry. Shameless, He Hongmei scolded. The three of them chatted for a while. Xiaofang yawned, stood up and said, go to sleep, the problem is solved. Zhang Chen returned to his room and was about to take a shower when someone knocked on the door. Zhang Chen opened the door. He Hongmei walked in and said to him with a grimace. Guo, I was kicked out. I have no choice but to ask you to take pity on me and take me in. Zhang Chen laughed and hugged him. The two of them lay on the bed after taking a shower, and He Hongmei shouted, this Yaomei. What's wrong? Zhang Chen asked. She is cheating, He Hongmei said. She said earlier that she wanted to talk to Xiao Zhao and let Xiao Zhao go to her room. In fact, she had already thought about it. Oh my God, it pissed me off. She had already thought about it. Kicked me out. Zhang Chen thought about it. After all, they were from Zhejiang University and Yale. If Xiaofang cheated, then Cai Zhong, Cai he, including him and He Hongmei, How could they be her opponents? Even Zhuliang and Zhou Yu might not be able to deal with them. But Yao Mei is right, it feels good to have a family, He Hongmei said. Actually, every time the plane lands at the airport, I feel very irritable when I think about having to stay in a hotel again at night. Zhang Chen hugged her tightly, then we will all live at home from now on. He Hongmei nodded. He Hongmei stayed in Hangzhou for 4 days and was about to return to Beijing. Xiao Fang took Xiang Nan to the north and went to Beijing with her. When Xiang Nan went to Beijing, she also had a big wish, that is, she wanted to know how movies and TV series were made. He Hongmei promised her to take them to the set to see them. Are you filming Wars, Aunt Hongmei? Boom, bang, I want to see how those bombs exploded, Zhang Xiangbei asked. He Hongmei thought for a while and said awkwardly that there really were no war movies recently. Zhang Xiangbei sighed in disappointment, but when He Hongmei said that she would find a way to let Zhang Xiangbei play an extra in the movie, so that he could sit in the cinema and watch himself walking around on the screen, Zhang Xiangbei became excited again. I wanted to, Aunt Hongmei, Xiang Nan said. He Hongmei said yes, I will definitely let you come too. For such a beautiful girl like you, I'm afraid the crew will rush to get her. Thank you, Vampire Knife Shiu, for the reward of 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you for your monthly tickets to Vampire Knife Shiu, Fan Fan, Yuengzi, Xinggong, Jack Linda, Haikuo Tian Tian, Arongta Culture A Ding, and Quiet Room. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1346. This summer, Lu Ligan felt that he was really a good man. He didn't make 6 months' money, but it was just passive. He couldn't make it even if he wanted to. The whole market was still at freezing point. With so many projects across the country, they could only make it in one day. Just 1 or 2 houses are for sale. Either the boss buys them to help someone, or someone gets on the bus first and then buys the ticket. They are in a hurry to get married and need the house. Lu Ligan had nothing to do all day long. He spent most of the time in Zhang Chen's office. He didn't even go to the company. If Tan Shahen came to him for anything, she didn't need to call his mobile phone, but directly called Zhang Chen's office landline. Can find him. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan said, either I can rent this office to you. Lu Ligan said yes, I will pay half of the rent, and you will pay the other half, and we will work together. You have so much free time, why not just find a place to go out and play, Zhang Chen said. I'm too lazy to move. It's better for me to move within a radius of 10 meters every day. The weather is so hot, sweating is not as good as nourishing meat, Lu Ligan said. Is this still what Lu Ligan, who washes the building every day, said? Zhang Chen asked. No, Lu Ligan said, that Lu Ligan has died in Haikan. Ji Ling walked in and told Zhang Chen about private customization. Their new buyer came back from France yesterday. This time, she ordered more than 5 million yuan of goods. Within this month, they will be airlifted to Hangzhou one after another. Zhang Chen said yes, and Lu Ligan shouted from the side, these women here are really cruel to themselves. Otherwise, if you don't spend the money on yourself, where will you let them spend it? Ji Ling said, this is the first batch of goods, and there will be more to come. Before doing private customization, I don't know what Hangzhou has to offer. There are so many rich people now, and after doing it, you realize that some people are really rich now. If the Discipline Inspection Commission comes to you to fight corruption, you can probably provide a lot of clues, right? Lu Ligan asked. I don't know. Unless the guests say it themselves, we never ask what they or their husbands do. Anyway, we know they are rich, Ji Ling said with a smile. Lu Ligan's eyes lit up, he stood up and walked out the door. Zhang Chen was surprised and asked, what are you going to do? Go to work and make a living, otherwise I won't be able to pay your rent. Lu Li walked out without looking back. Ji Ling was surprised and asked, "What rent does Mr. Lu pay us?" "Just kidding," Zhang Chen said. Lu Ligan drove to the company and walked straight into Tan Shahan's office. Yao Fen was talking to Tan Shahan about something. Tan Shahan saw Lu Ligan coming in a hurry and asked, "What, is it on fire?" "Yes, it's about to be roasted into charcoal." "Yao Fen, go to the opposite side and buy me some ice cream or something," Lu Ligan said. Yao Fen said yes, stood up and walked out. Lu Ligan stood there and said to Tan Shahan, "Think about it, which of our plots has the best scenery, the one in Hangzhou, I mean the one in Hangzhou." "What do you want to do?" Tan Shahan asked. "Carry forward our traditions," Lu Ligan said. "As we continue to do this, we have lost all our traditions, and now we have to get them back." Tan Shahan didn't understand and asked, "What the hell?" "The tradition of Peach Blossom Spring and West Lake Throne," Lu Ligan said. "The people who are hesitating now are the vast number of home buyers. Policies that restrict loans are actually restricting them. But have you ever thought about it? For some people, if they buy a house, they don't need a loan at all. At the same time, for them, it's not a question of whether to buy a house or not, but if you look at the entire Hangzhou, there are no houses worth buying for them." "What exactly do you want to say?" Tan Shahan asked. "Operation against the trend, let's do a counter-trend operation. Aren't we strictly controlling high-end housing now? In fact, you can't control who can really buy high-end housing. People don't need to find bank loans. How can you control it?" Tan Shahan understood a little bit and asked, "You mean?" "Yes, we will build another project. It is not an ordinary fine decoration, but the top-notch decoration. The houses are also top-notch, and there is also British-style butler service. It is specifically for this group of customers. Of course, the number of these customers will not be the same. It's a lot, but we'll have no problem filling up a program." As Lu Ligan spoke, he told Tan Shahan about Zhang Chen's private customization, which shows that there are still a group of people who are not short of money in the city. As long as we can provide them with houses that they think are worth buying and that match their status, they will take action. Tan Shahan understood. Of course she knew about the existence of this group of people. She was the first to start Zhang Chen's half-acre VIP business. Her considerations at the time were similar to Lu Ligan's now. If that's the case, I think the old city is not as good as Qianzhong New City. No matter how well you build the houses in the old city, the surrounding environment is too shabby and it won't reflect it. Qianzhong New City can. As she spoke, Tan Shahan stood up and took out the information on several pieces of land in their Qianzhong New Town from the cabinet. She rummaged through it and finally took out a red line map and gave it to Lu Ligan, telling him that this year from now on, this is it. This land is located near the Sanbao ship lock on the Jiantang River. If the house is built, you can see both the Jiantang River and the canal from here. Opposite this land, near the Sanbao ship lock, is now a river sand storage yard, and there is also a centralized garbage processing station, where the trucks of garbage brought from the city are briefly processed here. Transfer to the landfill. This garbage disposal station is quite large. Every afternoon, the yard inside the wall is filled with garbage, which is then cleared out at night. The existence of the landfill has made it a breeding ground for mosquitoes and flies, and the stench can be smelled from a long distance away. It is because of this garbage disposal station that many people feel that the location here is too bad, so when it was auctioned, there are very few people raising prices. Lu Ligan photographed this place 2 years ago. Construction has not started since then, also because of this garbage disposal station. Before the auction, Lu Ligan went to the planning bureau to check the information, and it was said that this disposal station will be relocated this year. After the relocation, the area connecting the Jiantang River and the canal will be an urban green space, which is why Lu Ligan dared to take pictures here. This is why Tan Shahan said that after this year, this will be it. Construction has not started for 2 years, and the garbage disposal station here will be moved this year. This is just in time to connect. By then, facing the moved garbage disposal station and the urban green space that has not yet taken shape, there are many stories to tell. Lou Ligon decided to choose this piece of land. He planned to build 8 19-story houses here. The first floors of all the houses were vacant and used as elevator rooms and leisure places. Starting from the second floor, everything going up was the floor area of each house is 320 square meters, equipped with a large terrace, and the floor area ratio is controlled within 2.0, freeing up more green space in the community. Moreover, it is necessary to ensure that every house has a first-line river view, with an unobstructed view of the Chiantang River and the canal. From the elevators to the interior decoration materials, all the top brands are selected to truly build this place into a top luxury home in Hangzhou. Community. Is it too risky? Tan Shahan asked. Don't ask whether it's risky or not, just ask yourself, if you were rich, would you live in a community like this? Lou Ligon said. I don't answer hypothetical questions, Tan Shahan said. To me, the house in Mishaihe is already a luxury house. It's ridiculous to think that you, who built the best house in Hangzhou, are still living in someone else's house. In the dormitory. This is normal, Lou Ligon said with a smile. The workers in the banknote printing factory print truckloads of money every day, and that money does not belong to him. That's true, Tan Shahan said. I just think the risk is a bit high. We are building Peach Blossom Spring or West Lake Throne. Which one is less risky, but the final results are both unexpected, right? It is easier to sell things to rich people than to poor people. Only those who go to the farmer's market to buy vegetables like to bargain. Have you seen it? Did you bargain with me when you bought something at Hangcheng Building? Lou Ligon said. Hangcheng Building, when can you bargain? Tan Shahan contradicted Lou Ligon, but she admitted that Lou Ligon was right about one thing, that is, it is easier to sell things to rich people than to poor people. Actually, no matter what you sell, as long as you can accurately find your target customers, the risk is not big, Lou Ligon said. Okay, I agree with your plan, Tan Shahan said. So I call Jason. Tan Shahan nodded. Just when the entire real estate market was in a downturn and everyone's desire to buy was at its lowest point, Lou Ligon and his team launched their project. The goal he set for Jason and the others was that this would be a place for wealthy people in the market. The houses that I live in the district will rarely be seen in the second-hand housing market after the houses here are launched. Unless the rich man goes bankrupt for various reasons, he will be reluctant to sell the house here. The comfort of the house here must be far greater than its investment. What Lou Ligon gave were very abstract concepts, but Jason understood them and understood Lou Ligon's needs. Didn't he just want to recreate a shallow water bay here? Lou Ligon went to Zhang Chen and told him his idea. Lou Ligon said, "Come on, name it, master. Give me a resounding name for this project." Zhang Chen thought for a while, picked up the pen, and wrote a few words on the paper. Lou Ligon took a closer look and saw Dragon Family written on the paper. The people who live in your house are all the proud sons of heaven, dragons, Zhang Chen said with a smile. Lou Ligon smiled and raised his thumb. I admire you, the master is indeed worthy of his reputation. Stop talking nonsense and reserve a set for me, Zhang Chen and Lou Ligon said. What do you want to do? Lou Ligon asked. Your and Sichuan girl's new house. Get lost, Zhang Chen scolded. This is a new house for Xiaoshu and Yao Fen. I guess after your house is built and Xiaoshu graduates, it's time for them to get married. Lou Ligon stared at Zhang Chen for a while and then said, Can I also call you brother-in-law? Thank you for reading the book every day and ranking third from top to bottom for the reward. Thank you Daekyong 666 for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1347. Xiaofang took Xiangnan to Beijing with her. She originally planned to come back after a week, but on the third day, she called back and said that they might stay in Beijing for half a month. The reason is that He Hongmei took Xiangnan to a production crew to visit and guide them to try to be extras. As a result, the director saw Xiangnan and felt that she was more suitable than the original supporting role in the play. The heroine of this play is a drama actress, and the supporting role of the little girl is the heroine. When I was a child, when I first started learning drama, the director asked Xiangnan to audition for the role. I didn't expect that Xiangnan would be successful as soon as he started acting. How could I know that Xiangnan has studied acting with Tan Shahen and Feng Logui, as well as Lao Tan and Xiang Xiang, so he is no stranger to this role. The director immediately decided to replace the original actor and let Xiangnan go up. The assistant director told He Hongmei that He Hongmei let Xiangnan make his own decision. Of course Xiangnan wanted to act, so they would have to stay in Beijing for another half-month. He Hongmei and Tan Shahen said, "Sister Zhen Zhen, you haven't seen that Xiangnan's understanding is too high and her sense of camera is so good. She can basically pass 1 or 2 shots." The director also said that even an old actor can with such a success rate. The director also said that it was a pity that Xiangnan was not in Beijing. If she were in Beijing, she would definitely have many such opportunities. He Hongmei kept praising Xiangnan on the phone, and Tan Shahen reminded her not to say such things in front of Xiangnan. This child is more likely to be proud. Don't say anything. He Hongmei smiled. The director praised Xiangnan in front of her, and used her as an example to scold other supporting actors, saying that a child can do so well. What do you do for a living? Tan Shahen smiled and frowned. Fortunately, Xiangnan only dropped by occasionally and was not here to eat. Otherwise, she would really offend a lot of people. People are more annoying than others, and if you really want to make people angry, it's best to the only way to do this is to compare yourself with other people and other people's children. More than half a month later, Xiaofang came back with Xiangnan and Xiangbei. Zhang Chen and Tan Shahen picked them up at the airport. As soon as they got in the car, Xiangnan took an envelope to Tan Shahen and said to her, "Mom, you are here, look." Tan Shahen looked at the money inside and asked, "What is this?" Xiangnan turned to Xiaofang and asked, "Aunt Xiaofang, I forgot, what is this called?" "The remuneration is 2,000 yuan in total," Xiaofang said. "Isn't that right, Xiangnan?" Zhang Chen shouted, "Then you are so awesome. Your mother used to earn less than 2,000 a year for her performances." "Is it true, Mom?" Xiangnan asked. Tan Shahen smiled and said, "Yes, it's true. It's 50 or 60 yuan a month. I can't get it on time. I have to support you. Xiangnan, you keep this yourself." Tan Shahen said and handed the envelope back to Xiangnan, and Zhang Xiangbei shouted, "Aunt Shahen, I have it too, and I also got paid." "Oh, how much did Bai Bei get?" Tan Shahen asked. "Not as much as my sister. I got 20, but I bought candied haws and ate them all," Zhang Xiangbei said embarrassedly. Everyone in the car laughed. Xiaofang and Zhang Xiangbei said, "Your payment is not salary, it is called labor fee." "Why, isn't it all money?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. Even Xiaofang couldn't answer this question. "That's right," Bai Bei. Tan Shahen said, "When I was your age, I was on stage every day for only 12 yuan a month." "How much is my father?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. "Your dad? You little brat, you still had a runny nose at that time, and you asked your family for pocket money." Tan Shahen said. Everyone from south to north laughed. Zhang Chen glared at Tan Shahen, and Tan Shahen said with a smile, "You don't admit it, Don't you admit that when you were as old as Zhang Xiangbei, you were still asking your family for money? Let me tell you, at that time, we looked at you, not only you, but also junior high school students and high school students who were older than us, and you were still a kid. We were already working. Zhang Chen had to admit this. When they returned home, Xiang Nan and Xiang Bei went to watch Snoopy on the computer. Xiao Fang told them that the director of the film this time, for He Hongmei's sake, gave Xiang Bei more shots. Let him play the role of the bad boy who takes the lead in bullying Xiang Nan, and follows Xiang Nan to pull her pigtails. As a result, after Zhang Xiangbei grabbed him, he shouted to Xiangnan what he was doing and turned around to glare at him. Zhang Xiangbei immediately covered his ears and continued to do this for several takes. The director was so angry that he yelled, "What are you doing?" It was the little gangster who bullied other girls, and he was completely bullied by the female gangster. In the end, there was no choice but to change to someone else, and Zhang Xiangbei became one of the many children who only appeared for a second. Zhang Chen and Tan Shahen left. Zhang Chen remembered something and asked, "By the way, I don't seem to see Xiang Nan carrying Zhang Xiangbei's ears now. Why?" Tan Shahen and Xiao Fang both lowered their heads and remained silent. By September, the marginal effects of macro control mentioned by Lu Ligan began to appear. The overall economic situation also showed signs of the soft landing expected by the central government, and various economic indicators began to improve. In addition, the Hangzhou city government first introduced the Hangzhou 8 measures, which levied a 20% personal income tax on property transfer income. The original intention was to stabilize housing prices, but facts have proven that this part of the transaction cost was transferred to the buyer. It actually pushed up housing prices. The entire real estate market has become a stagnant pool due to the superposition of central and local policies. This is also something that no one wants to see. There are too many industries driven by real estate, and the employment population dependent on them is huge. If things go on for a long time, will cause social problems. In September, the Hangzhou city government announced that it would suspend the collection of 20% of the individual income tax, and the Hangzhou 8 measures that had been implemented for 8 months actually came to an end. The confidence of home buyers was restored. Starting from Hangzhou, and then across the country, Tan Shahen called various places every day and found that the sales of each project were increasing. It seemed that the most difficult time had really passed. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. When people describe China's macroeconomic policies and situation, there is a saying, "If you catch it, you will die, if you let it go, it will be chaos." If this sentence is applied to the real estate industry, it will be even more vivid. In September, with the entire real estate market, another thing that is picking up is housing prices, which have started to rise again. That is, in September, the Zhejiang Real Estate Market Development Research Report released by the Enterprise Investigation Team of the Zhejiang Provincial Bureau of Statistics issued an early warning. For the first time, the current Zhejiang real estate market bubble has inflated and has entered the warning zone. If allowed to develop, the property market bubble may occur at any time. Rupture. This is the first time that an authoritative department in the province has issued a property market bubble warning. When Lu Ligan called Mr. Han also cursed on the phone. He said that he was right when he said that your real estate developers are greedy. These hard days have just passed, and you have immediately got carried away. You are shooting yourself in the foot. This is forcing the central government to adopt more stringent control measures. After cursing, Mr. Han lowered his tone and said to Lu Ligan, "Gangzi, be careful, the good times will be over soon. You must be prepared and have a plan." Lu Ligan said, "Yes, thank you Mr. Han." After talking to Mr. Han, Lu Ligan locked himself in the office and thought calmly. He called Tan Shahen and Lao Tan to his office and told them that a notice would be issued immediately, starting tomorrow. "We are conducting a month-long promotion month to welcome the golden autumn. All houses will be discounted at 95% off the existing prices. Discount, Lao Tan and Tan Shahan were both shocked. Yes, discount, Lulipol nodded. Is this necessary? Tan Shahan asked. Let's control the current situation and make the price increase smaller. It's already very good, but we still need a discount. Yes, we need discounts, advertising, and publicity with great fanfare, Lu Ligan said. Why? Tan Shahan asked. Lu Li stayed silent, and Lao Tan said, it's still the same old problem. Now that it's on sale, what will happen if people who have already bought it come to make trouble? No, Lu Ligan said, we are offering a 15% discount, which is to bring back the rising prices. They have nothing to fuss about. I still want to know why, Tan Shahan said. Lu Ligan told them the content of his phone call with Mr. Han. Lu Ligan said, I think Mr. Han is right. This time, everyone is really drinking poison to quench their thirst, and they are forcing more stringent measures to save statistics. Didn't the Bureau already issue a warning? Our power is very weak. It is difficult for us as a company to stop this wave of price increases. But I think that through discounts and publicity discounts, we can at least slow down the speed. Moreover, even through marketing methods, generally speaking, now when everyone is raising prices, if we lower prices, the effect will be better, and we need to make another counter-trend operation. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan said, aren't you always worried about cash flow? Then take this opportunity to fill the reservoir with water. When winter comes, the basin will freeze first, and then the tank will freeze. It is the most difficult to freeze. Yes, it's still a reservoir, we need a reservoir now. Okay, you are the boss, you have the final say, Tan Shahan said. They immediately took action and advertised in various media, announcing that they were launching the Golden Autumn Discount Month, offering a 50% discount on all houses, which indeed caused a sensation in the market. This action of theirs caused a lot of scolding from their colleagues. Everyone was very happy about the price increase. Why did Chen Yaojin come up with a 50% discount? How could the houses of other companies go up? What's more, the houses in Jingxiu, Zhejiang, already have a good reputation. Zhejiang Jingxiu has started discounting, and you still want to increase the price. What are you thinking? Similarly, Lu Ligan's actions received strong support from local governments, which also made them relieved. This wave of rising housing prices was finally curbed by a trader who came out of their ranks. Living. Even Li Yong called Lu Ligan and told him, Gangzi, you have done a good job this time. You have hidden the tail of your profiteer. The subjective is for yourself, and the objective is also helping us. Lu Ligan laughed and said, do you want to give me a plaque? If there is no plaque, outstanding private enterprises at the end of the year can be considered. Li Yong said. Tan Shahan walked into Lu Ligan's office and told him that in 1 week, we did 3.46 billion in sales. Let everyone work hard and tell each branch that whether they can continue to acquire land depends on this round of sales, Lu Ligan said. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Feng Po Lang 26, Jinwu Yulong, Guzio Kyokiu, Guandian Electromechanical, HJ, and San Ran Heroes for your monthly votes. Thank you for all the recommendation votes and monthly votes. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1348. Lu Ligan's Golden Autumn Promotional Month has come to an end, and the Autumn Real Estate Fair in Hangzhou will take place in October. This round of preferential rewards allowed Lu Ligan and the others to gain face and money, creating a total of nearly 6 billion in sales and regaining their lost ground for most of the year. Tan Shahan and Zhang Chen said. Zhang Chen, I want to laugh when I look at the account now. Zhang Chen smiled, how long can you continue to laugh? A wave of land auctions will make your cash disappear again, right? It's true, Tan Shahan said, Each branch has done well. It makes no sense not to increase the land reserve for them. If there is no land in hand, the general manager of the branch knows it. This general manager probably does it over. The real estate industry is like this, with high input and high output. No matter how much money you have in your account, it seems that it can't satisfy the desire to expand. It is really greedy. If you pick a real estate company at random, if you give it unlimited money, it will probably within 3 months, the entire planet will be purchased, and even Antarctica will want to build summer houses. But, having said that, which industry and which entrepreneur is not like this? If you give it a little sunshine, it will shine, and if you give it a little halo, it will swell. It's just that this time, it's not their turn. Who was involved in the internet a few years ago, who didn't scold Fang Chiu and point out the country? The real estate fair is coming soon. Of course Lou Ligon and the others also signed up to participate in this fair. As usual, they won the largest booth. When the real estate fair was approaching, Lou Ligon became quiet. At night, he walked alone to the center of Hangzhou where the civil construction had been completed and the exterior walls were still being built. The security guard on duty knew Lou Ligon. Rod took the key to the top floor fire door from him and walked into the elevator. Before it was put into use, the fire safety door on their top floor was locked, for no other reason than for those who couldn't think of it. They regarded their building as a target and wanted to jump from the top of the building, just like Shanghai back then. 100 became the target, and they had to install iron bars on all the windows facing Nanjing Road. The security guards in the center of Hangzhou always stop several such people a year, causing them great annoyance and having to be careful. Lou Ligon arrived at the roof of the building in the center of Hangzhou and sat down on the ground. On an October night, it was still very hot below, but the autumn wind was bleak on the rooftop, which already had a chill. Lou Ligon looked at the dim lights in the distance. The West Lake, and the rooftops of the buildings that dropped one by one in front of him. Looking at a city from a high place, this city is always ugly. It is either piled with all kinds of debris or covered with black anti-seepage asphalt. People spend too much money and energy on every building. On the facade of the building, no one thought that the roof of the building was also their face and they also needed to be dressed up. How many people would look down from a high place? Lou Ligon thought to himself that when the rooftops of the city can be seen either as sky gardens, rooftop swimming pools or helipads, this city will probably be considered truly wealthy. Lou Ligon sat there, smoking cigarettes one after another. He was thinking about the next housing fair, and there was a faint fear in his heart. He was worried that this housing fair would be the same as the first half of the year, with bleak transactions. Then it will directly bring the housing prices and property market in Hangzhou that have just improved back to their original shape, and they are worried that this housing fair will be too popular. If that happens, it will directly trigger the Provincial Bureau of Statistics early warning, and the real estate bubble in Hangzhou will burst. He is also worried that, as Mr. Han said, the rising housing prices will force the central government to take heavy measures. This is the worst result. Lou Ligon walked into Tan Shahan's office and told her that we need to change our strategy for this housing fair. How to change? Tan Shahan asked. We sell houses directly and do not accept reservations. We put out all the projects that can be launched and those that have already been launched, and we require that we directly sign a house purchase agreement and pay the house payment instead of signing a house agreement. In that case, maybe our booth will become the most deserted booth in the entire housing fair, Tan Shahan reminded. Yes, if we want to make money, we should make real money, not popularity. There are too many bookings, and in the end there are very few people who actually buy houses. At that time, we will become very passive. We can't adjust even if we want to, just like City in the Sky, that way, Lou Ligon said. Tan Shahan thought for a while and agreed to Lou Ligon's suggestion. There were many times when she had to admire this guy. At many critical moments, he would make suggestions that seemed intuitive and careless, but if you think about it deeply, his ideas are actually logically related, and his judgment will be very accurate. Well, anyway, we don't lack the deposit right now, Tan Shahen said. At this exhibition, like the last one, 2/3 of them displayed local projects in Hangzhou and 1/3 displayed projects from all over the country. Only the Dragon Family project was not displayed to the outside world. Lu Ligan said that the timing, if she doesn't arrive, let her continue to stay in the boudoir. On the opening day of the housing fair, Zhang Chen accompanied Lu Ligan, Tan Shahen, and Lao Tan. When they arrived at the entrance of the World Trade Center, seeing the bustling crowd, Zhang Chen shouted, "With so many people, it must be very popular today." He looked at Lu Ligan, Lao Tan, and Tan Shahen. Their faces were all calm. Zhang Chen asked curiously, "Why, aren't you happy that there are so many people?" Lao Tan smiled bitterly and said, "It was the same in the first half of the year." The three of them had the same idea, and they were all worried that this would be another flash in the pan like the first half of the year. They went directly inside. Lu Ligan, Tan Shahen, and Zhang Chen walked around the entire exhibition hall. It was obvious that the atmosphere in the entire exhibition hall was a bit depressing. All the exhibitors were as blindly optimistic as in the first half of the year. This time there was widespread worry. There were two others who were indifferent and showed obvious hostility when they saw Lu Lizan and the others. Lu Lizan knew that this was his 50% discount and offended them. Lu Ligan smiled and didn't take it seriously. When the door opened and people poured in, Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen immediately felt relaxed. They heard many people in the crowd speaking Wenzhou dialect and Taizhou dialect. There were many of these people. Heading towards their booth, not only did their booth not have the fewest customers as Tan Shahen feared, but there was also a long queue immediately. Their sales staff repeatedly explained to the people waiting in line that at this housing fair, they only sell houses but do not reserve houses. If you want to reserve a house, please do not wait in line here. What surprised Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen was that the people in the queue continued to queue as if they didn't hear what their salesperson was saying clearly. Going back to the front of the team to take a look, they saw that these people were holding a map of Hangzhou in their hands. They were asking each building where the building was. The salesperson told him, and he opened the map and found the exact location. Draw a circle, then point to the sand table and say, "How much does he want for this building? How much does he want for that building? Okay, take me to see the next building." Lu Ligan, Tan Shahen, and Zhang Chen were all dumbfounded by such a fast and accurate method of buying a house. What is going on? Lu Ligan thought for a while and figured it out. It seemed that the previous wave of discount sales and advertisements had worked. The media called their counter-trend operation and that conscientious house selling had worked. Those who came to buy houses thought that buying a house from their company is a great value for money. Sales Director Xiao Lu ran over and asked, "Mr. Lu, Mr. Tan, can we sell houses in Shanghai and Nanjing?" This time, the projects of their other branches were only on display, without arranging sales staff to come over. From within their company, there was no set of transaction records in the first half of the year, so they had no hope this time, but they did not expect that these were only the projects on display still aroused the interest of many home buyers in Wenzhou and Taizhou. "Yes, as long as it's already open for sale, you can sell it," Tan Shahen and Xiao Lu said. "If you have any questions, you can call the branch manager directly." Xiao Lu said yes and ran back. Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen walked out and walked around again. They saw that every booth was full of unprecedented grandeur. Compared with the previous one, this housing fair was like ice and fire. Starting from the next day, the old drama reappeared, and everyone began to adjust the price. Xiao Lu asked Lu Ligan, and Lu Ligan said, "No, this time we will not adjust the price." Other companies began to adjust their prices significantly, but Lu Ligan and others did not. These real estate speculators from Wenzhou and Taizhou were in communication with each other, and more home buyers gathered at Lu Ligan's booth. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Don't you make such easy money?" "No," Lu Ligan said, "I'm tired of making money, now I want to earn a good reputation, okay?" Zhang Chen said, "Yes, yes, yes, Lu Das-han is a good person." All of Lu Ligan's houses were sold out within 2 days. Xiao Lu kept calling Lu Ligan and asking Lu Ligan if it was possible to book other projects of ours. Many guests requested reservations. "No, this time we are only selling houses but not booking them," Lu Ligan said. Xiao Lu muttered, "Then we have nothing to do here. You can introduce our projects to the guests and leave the guests' contact information." Tan Shuhan took Lu Ligan's phone and said to Xiao Lu, "I have to admire the keen market sense of Wenzhou and Taizhou people. As long as there is the slightest disturbance, they can immediately sense it and take fierce action. This real estate fair has set another record, that is, the record of non-local home buyers buying houses in Hangzhou. According to statistics, for many properties in this real estate fair, the proportion of non-local home buyers accounted for more than 50%, and the highest reached 80%. These foreign home buyers mainly come from Wenzhou and Taizhou. This housing fair started in a lively manner and ended in a lively manner. In official language, this was a successful and victorious housing fair. At the same time, the real estate industry in Hangzhou and even the whole country entered a collective carnival. But Lu Ligan felt deeply worried. He thought of a word, the Last Supper. If he thought of another word, it would be the name of a movie, The Last Madness. Mr. Han's words came true. Just over a week after the Hangzhou Real Estate Fair, the central bank took action again. On October 29, 2004, the People's Bank of China decided to raise the benchmark interest rate for deposits and loans of financial institutions by 0.27%. And relaxed the floating range of RMB loan interest rates and allowed RMB deposit interest rates to fall. This is China's first interest rate increase in 9 years. The keen Hong Kong and Macau media immediately sensed the meaning of this interest rate hike. Hong Kong Commercial Daily analyzed the two major purposes of this interest rate hike: first, to send a warning signal to the market; second, to formally activate the market-oriented reform of interest rates. A commentary article in Macau Daily said, the interest rate increase 10 years ago coincided with the end of macroeconomic control. The first interest rate increase after 10 years is the beginning of another wave of macroeconomic control, reflecting the phased nature of interest rate increases. Significance. Lu Ligan sighed, what was supposed to come would come, and this time it came. It was really caused by the continued rise in housing prices, which led to an increase in the prices of all production factors. Come on, you urinals, prepare to die. Thank you Eternal Evergreen Emperor Yan for the reward. Thank you to the Evergreen Emperor Yan, why can't you change your name? Jinwu Yulong for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1349. At the next land auction, Lu Ligan and his friends did not auction a piece of land for the first time in Hangzhou. They bought land in Shanghai, Nanjing, Ningbo, Suzhou, Xiamen, Wuhan and Hefei, and even went to Wuhu to buy 2 pieces of land. But just missed the land auction in Hangzhou. Lu Ligan expected that the competition for land prices in Hangzhou would be fierce this time. Sure enough, those companies that had just experienced a bit of hardship and tasted some sweetness believed that the so-called macro control was nothing more than that. They had survived it, and what's so scary? They were very active in this auction, spending almost all the money they could to grab land, and finally snatched another land king. Lu Ligan kept sneering as he watched the reports about the new king of land. Before the central bank took action, Lu Ligan had foreseen earlier than the media in Hong Kong and Macau that this wave of macro control would not be over, and would use stronger means. Maybe it hasn't come yet. He called Mr. Han and told him his thoughts. Mr. Han said, "Fortunately, you are still sober. I was worried that you would speculate in the King of Land again. Director Chu even called me to scold me when I was absent for the first time. However, he quickly let me go. There are so many upstarts this year that I am already an abandoned wife," Lu Ligan said with a smile. Mr. Han laughed and said, "Okay, you can be your abandoned wife with peace of mind. It is said that only the new person laughs and who can hear the old person cry. This year, you, the old person, just wait to see the new person cry." Lu Ligan told Lao Tan and Tan Shahan about his judgment, and they asked him why he had such a judgment. Lao Tan said that there is no sign of this now. Lu Ligan said that it is not that there are no signs of this phenomenon, but that it is still there and has not subsided. It is just that everyone thinks it is not strange. "It's always there, how did you see it?" Lao Tan asked. Lu Ligan said, "It's very simple. The so-called macro control must be top-down and policy-oriented. No document or leader's speech has ever set a specific limit for this wave of macro control. Timetable, why? Because macro control has always been based on results, not time. Look at the current housing prices and commodity prices. Do you think the results have been achieved? As long as the results are not achieved, more stringent measures will definitely come out. How do we say it in the words of our children? We will never withdraw our troops until we achieve the goal. When will the party want to? What should we do if we are not determined? As long as house prices and prices remain high, this wave of macro control will not end. Some time ago, it was just getting better, and there was a downward and stabilizing trend. Just a few days after the good days, I didn't expect that house prices and commodity prices would be pushed up again. If they keep rising, the higher authorities will definitely make repeated adjustments. Compared with confidence, are you still better than the party?" Tan Shahan and Lao Tan both felt that Lu Ligan's judgment was simple and reasonable. After harvesting a batch of land from various places at the price they expected, they kept the money to prepare for the winter, and they would celebrate the new year in a few months. The scenes of last year are still before us, and Tan Shahan does not want them to happen again. Those companies that grabbed land at high prices at land auctions soon noticed that the market direction was changing and the transaction volume was shrinking. Many of those who lined up to sign housing agreements at the housing fairs called to ask if they could. After checking out, the room number was on the market and was not being speculated on. On the contrary, the price was getting lower and lower, and even the original price was gone. What's going on here? It was not until the end of October that the central bank took action, and everyone suddenly woke up. At this time, all fools knew that the macroeconomic control had not passed. This short breathing period was just a correction in the market, a trough between the two peaks, and a bigger wave was still to come. Behind. The bank's loan officers set out like hunting dogs. They sniffed around every company. As long as there was the slightest sign of danger, they would take action before others took action and immediately collect loans. Which real estate company doesn't owe a huge loan to the bank? The interest rate hike has increased their cost of capital. Then they will soon find that if the central bank takes action, it is never just a punch. It must be a combination punch, a superficial punch. The interest rate hike is only something you can see. It is an early warning message issued to the whole society. There are more means that you cannot see. But they quickly fermented within the financial system. When the central bank announced an interest rate hike, the China Banking Regulatory Commission also issued a risk warning for the real estate industry. The head offices of various banks quickly launched new credit policies and specific measures for the real estate industry. Companies whose loans have expired immediately found it difficult to refinance. Some companies paid back the loans. Instead of repaying them, in their words, they were deceived by the president and loan officer into taking back the loans, and then they could no longer lend. This company I was immediately in trouble. Today, there are very few companies that can trust each other enough to lend funds. Everyone knows that if someone gives you this kind of face today, you have to pay it back. If you call today, they will send the money. Here you go, he will call you tomorrow, and you will have to lend him the money. This will increase the risks for both parties. It is better to find another way to solve the problem. These companies spent more money on borrowing money from the public at high interest rates for a week, and used it as U-turn funds when their presidents and loan officers guaranteed that they would refinance the loan. If he doesn't come, loan sharks will come to his door immediately, and another Song Chunming will appear. From time to time, bad news comes, saying that the boss of a certain company has fled abroad, or that a certain company has been splashed with red paint by loan sharks, and the sales office has been occupied by loan sharks, who directly sell the houses at a reduced price. Payment. Lu Ligan went to Lao Ni's place at splendid Jiangnan and met the baby-faced Mr. Huang from Zhonghui Company. When Mr. Huang saw Lu Ligan, he came over saying hello from afar, and his people left in a hurry. Go out and get in the van at the door. Lu Ligan smiled and said, "Are you busy with your business now?" "It's just a joke to make Mr. Lu laugh, just to make ends meet," Mr. Huang said quickly. "Then you've had a great meal. By the way, Mr. Huang, how many of your clients are in the real estate industry now?" Lu Ligan asked. Mr. Huang smiled and did not say anything, but stretched out his hand to make a horoscope sign. Lu Ligan was surprised. "So high." "Who told you to come in money quickly?" Mr. Huang said. "As soon as it comes, it will go quickly. In the hands of you real estate bosses, any money is just small money and cannot be spent." Lu Lizan nodded and understood. He thought, there are countless Song Chunmings in this. The van was still waiting for Babyface at the door, and Lu Ligan said to him, "Go and do your work." "Okay, see you later," Mr. Lu. Babyface said goodbye. These bad news keep coming, which makes more companies whose bank loans are due to be overdue rather than repay the loans. This makes the banks extremely nervous. In their eyes, there is no real estate company that is not bad. She would not blow herself up. Even Tan Shahen received a call from the president of the bank where they opened their account, saying that he wanted to treat her to dinner. Tan Shahen herself came from a bank. Of course she knew what the other party meant by inviting her to a meal at this time. She smiled and said, "There is no need to eat the meal. Don't worry. When our loan expires, I will pay it back on time. I promise 1 second the clock will not expire." When Tan Shahen said this, the other party felt embarrassed and smiled and said, looking at what Mr. Tan said, "What else should we worry about with you? I just don't trust my husband, and I don't trust you, Mr. Tan. You are our quality customers, nothing to say. I can't guarantee for others, your company, Mr. Tan. I will definitely complete the reloan procedures in advance, and I will come in the morning and leave in the afternoon. How about it?" Tan Shahen quickly said, "Thank you, thank you." After putting down the phone, the president breathed a sigh of relief. She looked at the funds in Lu Ligan's account and found that there was indeed nothing to worry about. However, she still called the loan officer over and asked him to keep a close eye on the account. "We must pay special attention to the flow of funds, do you understand?" the president said. The loan officer quickly explained that real estate companies are simple in fact. Their large amounts of funds flow to only 3 directions: land acquisition and storage centers in various places, construction companies, and employee wages. As long as the funds flow to these 3 places, indicating that everything is normal for them. If it flows to any trading company or a large amount of cash is withdrawn, 9 times out of 10, it is to pay off loan sharks. As long as a company is found to be involved with loan sharks, the bank will immediately take action and do everything possible to recover the loan. Even if it is cheating, the bank presidents know very well that when it comes to collection methods, how can they be better than loan sharks? It's not too early, you can't do it with your hands. In December, a piece of news shocked the entire real estate industry in Hangzhou. Guangdong Group, the developer of Xinyi Square, was acquired due to a break in the capital chain. Everyone knew that this acquisition was a rhetoric. To be more precise, it means that both the boss and the company are desperate. The crisis has spread to companies at the level of Guangdong Group. No one knows who will be next. It is also December, and there is another piece of bad news for developers. At 2 p.m. on December 16, Hangzhou's transparent house sales system Hangcheng Transparent House Sales Network was launched after thousands of calls. Finally launched. The emergence of the transparent real estate sales network means that the relevant department's supervision of developers and projects is more effective and convenient. Once the system was launched, it attracted a lot of attention. Within half a day of its launch, the majority of netizens paralyzed the Hangcheng Transparent House Sales Network with 800,000 clicks. After the implementation of the land bidding, auction, and listing system, Hangzhou has once again been at the forefront of the country in the disclosure of real estate information, and has won unanimous praise from the general public. The transparent real estate sales website has improved the asymmetry of real estate market information, allowing ordinary people to be able to fly through the fog of the property market. The opening of the transparent house sales network has made it very difficult for developers to create false sales information and hold back on sales. As long as the house has obtained a pre-sale permit, it will appear on the transparent house sales network, with every building and unit listed on it. House-specific information. There are schematic diagrams of buildings one after another. Sold, unsold, or mortgaged restricted houses are clearly marked in yellow, green, and red respectively, making it more difficult for developers to do tricks. Thank you for the reward at around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, third from top to bottom, 2 fishes one above the other. Thank you for your monthly votes for Why You Can't Change Your Name, Jinwu Yulong, Yuingzi, Book Friends 2019010420175818, Small Sample Thief, Huangpu Issue 20, Zipanjiang 1, Zifi Kangsheng Edison, Qingdao Lao Sun, Nagging Old Tao, Book Friends 201906091429499291. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1350. Last year, everyone didn't get together during the Chinese New Year. This year, everyone couldn't hold it in any longer and started communicating very early. Qian Fang and Tan Shuhen said, never mind, they would be unhappy all day long anyway, so it's time to have some fun. It's time to eat, and we don't think about it so much. Fortunately, our life is still going well. Is your villa not moving at all now? Tan Shuhen asked. I also find it strange that other projects are not moving. The most expensive project by Machu Lake has a pretty good sales. This land was acquired ruthlessly. It was very expensive. A villa costs $1,000. At that time, Lao Meng said, let us follow the path of your peach blossom land. We tried to build 2 model houses, but the supply was still in short supply, so we are working hard to build them now. Qian Fang said, and Tan Shuhen kept nodding. It seemed that Lu Ligan's statement was correct. In every city, there are really a group of people who are not short of money. Qian Fang and Tan Shuhen suggested that everyone come to Nanjing to celebrate the New Year this year. Tan Shuhen asked Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan, but both of them objected. They said, what's the difference between going to Nanjing and staying in Hangzhou? It's so cold. Nanjing is not as good as Hangzhou. In Hangzhou, you can go to Tuxianjiayuan to eat tofu stew. When you get to Nanjing, Lao Meng will treat you to the duck from Zhuangyuan building every day until you vomit, Lu Ligan said. Zhang Chen and Tan Shuhen laughed. Zhang Chen thought about it. There is indeed nothing delicious or interesting in Nanjing. The most important thing is that it is cold. After going out for a while, everyone has to dress like a penguin. After much discussion, we finally decided that it would be better to go to Sanya, so we decided to go to Sanya. As soon as he heard that he was going to Sanya during the Spring Festival this year, Lao Zhang was overjoyed. He took Xiao Zhao's father and was about to leave. Zhang Chen asked, "Why are you going now? There are still more than half a month before the Spring Festival. Let's help plant flowers," Lao Zhang said. Zhang Chen's mother also said, "Let them go. Here we go to the peach blossom spring every day. It's such a cold day and my nose is freezing every day. It's really a crime." Zhang Chen called Cao Minfang and asked her if it would be inconvenient. Cao Minfang said, "What's the inconvenience? Someone asked for leave during the Spring Festival and I was short of manpower here. 2 uncles came and helped me. Zhang Chen, don't worry, sir, I will take good care of them." Zhang Chen bought tickets for his father and Xiao Zhao's father for the next day. Lao Zhang ran to the peach blossom spring and handed over the land to the master chef in the kitchen to help take care of it. He and Xiao Zhao's father were so happy. Then I went to Sanya. Everyone went to Sanya together. The biggest headache for Tan Shahen was what to do with her parents and Lao Lu. Tan Shahen asked Zhang Chen, and Zhang Chen said, "Just go together, just keep an eye on them and don't put them at the same table to eat." "Teacher Tan, you haven't done anything wrong, and you're still planning to prevent them from ever meeting each other again in this life. It's okay, let's go together." Tan Shahen thought about it. There was nothing to be afraid of. Before the holiday, Lu Ligan asked the bosses of each of their branches to return to Hangzhou in advance. They held an afternoon meeting in the large box of Tuxianjiayuan Hotel, and then had a dinner together in the evening. Such a dinner, Han the great ancestor Lu Bang told them that in Taiwan, this is something that every company must do at the end of the year, called Wei Yat. Lu Ligan said with a smile, "We used to call it remembering the bitterness and thinking about the sweetness, and we had to eat the meal to remember the bitterness. Now it's called the year-end summary and year-end dinner. The word via is better. At the end of the year, everyone moves their teeth." Tan Shahen asked how the situation was in each place. Everyone said that this year has been very dangerous. Now, there are only a few projects in normal operation in every place. We are the only one who is still operating normally. Lu Ligan asked Su Wenhui, "Have those demolished households moved into new houses?" Su Wenhui said that after moving in, just as we promised them, let them move to a new house for the new year. Lu Ligan nodded. He told everyone that life next year would still be difficult. I met a loan shark that day. He told me that 80% of their customers were real estate developers. Everyone wanted to think about it. What is the situation? If it is like this everywhere, then about half of us in the real estate industry are working for loan sharks. When Lu Ligan mentioned loan sharks, Song Chunming lowered his head. He almost guessed that the person Lu Ligan met must be Zhang Hui. He probably had either a baby face or a mahjong face. Lu Ligan didn't say that on purpose. Which company is taking care of him? However, he had a very good saying. He said that for us in the real estate business, money comes and goes quickly. Any money in our hands is just small money and cannot be spent easily, Lu Ligan said. Yes, what he said is indeed right, Tan Shahen interjected. This also reminds us to be prepared for danger in times of peace. I hope that each of your companies will set a financial goal for themselves, that is, to find ways to reduce expenditures. I will definitely not spend money that shouldn't be spent. Only thin water can flow. If flood irrigation is carried out, no matter how much money you spend, it will be useless, Lao Tan said. Tan Shahen looked at everyone and said, "Let me say hello to you first. Starting next year, every 2 months, I will lead people to conduct a financial inspection of each company. It's not that I don't trust you, but that many times, bystanders know that you need someone to check it for you. A wake-up call. Also, if you find that you are really lavish and spending money on things you shouldn't spend, I will hold you accountable, do you understand? Everyone made it clear. Fan Jiangguo joked, "This food tastes terrible. Why does it feel like the knife is on my neck? I also want to ensure that everyone has enough food for a long time, and don't become the second Guangtong. The boss of Guangtong probably doesn't enjoy anything now. Do you want to be like him?" Tan Shuhen looked at everyone and said seriously. One day after Lu Ligan and the others, Zhang Chen also held a dinner party in Tuxianjiayuan, and even Xiaoli, Xiaomi, Erhuo, and Cao Minfang were invited over. Xiaoli was a little embarrassed when she saw Zhang Chen. She told Zhang Chen, "Mr. Zhang, new shopping malls have been developed, and 4 of them have been developed, but the effect has not met expectations. The sales of all shopping malls this year are not as good as last year." Zhang Chen comforted her in turn and said, "Isn't there an epidemic in the first half of this year? It's not just you in Beijing, it's the same across the country." No, Xiaoli said, "The newly developed ones were developed after the epidemic, including the original several counters. Our ranking in the mall has not declined, but the turnover has declined. I mean, in the second half of the year, I am scared to death." Xiaomi also said on the side, "We are in the same situation in Shanghai. Our ranking is better than last year, but sales have dropped, and so have our specialty stores." Xiao Wan sat there without making a sound, but her store in Hangzhou had also seen a decline in sales this year. Zhang Chen and Zhao Jingjing had known about this situation for a long time. They also knew how their brand ranked in major shopping malls across the country. So to speak, the entire clothing industry, the overall sales are declining. Customers have been diverted, Ge Ling said. Now that there are so many specialty stores, some customers have gone to those places, and some customers are no longer satisfied with buying clothes in China. They have all gone to Hong Kong, and we have private orders. Many of our customers go to Hong Kong once a month, and these are all major customers of major shopping malls in China." Zhang Chen felt that what Ge Ling said made sense, and indeed it was true. Their fastest growing customers this year were private custom customers, but as the overall sales increased, their company's products' share of them actually decreased, with more buyers go overseas to help purchase the world's top brands. Fortunately, the business of Su Qiaxin and his foreign trade company has been growing, so Zhao Zhigang is still very busy here. "Then can we also do private customization?" Xiaoli asked. Ge Ling shook her head and said it was a bit difficult. "Why?" Xiaoli asked. "The vast majority of private customization customers come because of Master's reputation. Their first set of plans was basically made by Master for them. That's why they think it's worth it. What should you do with your customers?" "Master, will you give half of it to you?" Ge Ling said. "He Hung Mei, don't I have your senior sister there?" Xiaoli said. Ge Ling's eyes lit up, she thought this was okay. Zhang Chen quickly stopped her. Zhang Chen said, "Hung Mei has her own things to do, and she often has to follow the crew to the location. Xiaoli, your client is here. What to do? Call her back from the location?" When Ge Ling and Xiaoli heard this, they were immediately discouraged. "Yes, let's raise the bar," Ge Ling said. "When encountering particularly high-end customers, Master can go and check them out first, and then I'll take care of them." After Ge Ling said this, Zhang Chen and Xiaoli also thought it was feasible. Xiaoli said that I can cooperate with Wen Wen. The celebrities she knows can become high-end customers, and I will develop them. Then I did the same thing in Shanghai. There are a lot of rich people in Shanghai, Xiaomi said to Zhang Chen, and Zhang Chen agreed. Xiaomi also brought some bad news. She said that our store on Huihei Road may be demolished next year. "No way, so unlucky," Xiaoli shouted. Zhang Chen also looked at Xiaomi, and Xiaomi said, "This is just a rumor, Mr. Zhang, So I didn't tell you. No one has informed us yet. It's just that I heard from the store next door that a building is going to be built there. I don't know if it only affects them and not us. Zhang Chen relaxed a little when he heard that it was a rumor. The stores in Shanghai are different from those in Beijing. Shanghai is his own house. If it really needs to be demolished, the first one he needs to look for is of course him. There is no way he doesn't know it yet. The news outside is flying all over the sky. But he still told Xiaomi to call me immediately if there was any news. Xiaomi nodded and said, "Got it, Mr. Zhang." The second guy picked up the cup and touched it with Zhang Chen. The second guy said, "Instructor, come on, let's go one by one." Zhang Chen clinked glasses with the second guy. The second guy drank the wine in one gulp, but Zhang Chen put the cup down. The second guy saw Zhang Chen's thoughtful look, so he let it go and didn't rush him. Zhang Chen was still thinking about what Xiaomi said just now. He said to himself, it can't be so unlucky. The store in Beijing just closed this year and the store in Shanghai will close next year. However, he thought of what Lu Ligan said. Lu Ligan said that when real estate is not doing well, it is the time when the land acquisition and storage center attacks everywhere. Real estate is in a slump right now. Zhao Zhigang came to toast Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen saw that the wine glass in front of him was still full, and then he remembered that the second-rate guy in front of him had touched him and he hadn't drank yet. Zhang Chen quickly raised the glass to the second-rate guy and took a sip. "When you're done, fill up the cup and touch it with Zhao Zhigang." "Thank you Ming Chenzi for the reward." "Thank you Westwind, Daekyong 666, and Kingbo for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1351. There is still a week before the Spring Festival. Zhang Chen's factory has not yet had a holiday, and He Hongmei's studio has already had a holiday. She arrived in Hangzhou from Beijing. He Hongmei will not go back to Chongqing to celebrate the New Year this year, but will go to Sanya with Zhang Chen and others. When Xiao Fang was there, He Hongmei was not allowed to stay in the hotel. After Xiao Fang left, she did not stay in the hotel again. "I have become accustomed to living here." As Xiao Fang said, it naturally creates a feeling of home. For example, she said to Zhang Chen, "Let's go home and I will go home first, or I will wait for you at home." These are all words that come out naturally. I won't say them again. Let's go back to the room. In comparison, the studio in Beijing still belongs to her, but she feels that the studio is just a studio and does not feel like home. Although Zhang Chen no longer stays in a hotel when he goes to Beijing again, but stays in He Hongmei's studio, it always gives them a sense of temporary accommodation, without the stability and reliability of home. Xiao Zhao's urn has always been placed in Xiao Fang's room. When Zhang Chen was alone, he would sit there every morning and evening, wipe the urn with a towel, and talk to Xiao Zhao about what he was going to do today. Things you did today. When He Hongmei came back, she would immediately go to Xiao Fang's room to sit there and shut Zhang Chen out. She would talk to Xiao Zhao inside alone. When she left, she would always go to Xiao Fang's room to sit there. Say goodbye, come out with red eyes. The two people had made an appointment and formed a tacit understanding, that is, they would never sit there together and talk to Xiao Zhao. Talking to Xiao Zhao has become their most secret inner monologue. Many of their worries can only be solved by talking to Xiao Zhao. Only Xiao Zhao can say. Especially in Zhang Chen, he felt that those thoughts that could expose his weakness could not be said to He Hongmei, or even to all real people. On the one hand, he was worried that the other party would be worried, and on the other hand, it was also subconscious self-esteem. Just like people will subconsciously hide the scars on their bodies even in front of the people closest to them, instead of exposing them openly. This kind of subconsciousness does not make any sense when you look into it, but people do it. Parents will not show their weakness in front of their children. Even if their children have just cried a lot, they pick up the phone and talk to their parents far away. Will also say, "Dad, Mom, I am fine here." Zhang Chen would sit there and tell Xiao Zhao worriedly that what he was most afraid of going to was the distribution center every day. What he was most afraid of was looking at the reports from various places. The sales of specialty stores in every place were declining. Now the clothing business, Xiao Zhao Zhao, it's not as easy as before. Not only their brand, the ranking in major shopping malls has not declined, but the performance has declined, which shows that fewer and fewer people go to major shopping malls to buy clothes, including Zhang Chen, who went to the Esprit store to look at it. When he arrived in Shanghai, he went looking at Paris Printemps and Huading Isidan. There are not as many customers as before. In just a few years, Shanghai 100, once the leader in China's department store industry, has already become old, outdated, and shabby. Yaoan in Pudong can no longer operate. Yaoan headquarters in Japan also suffered a crisis during the 1997 Asian financial crisis. Then it went bankrupt. Ai Jing's My 1997 is still singing, "Hurry up and 1997 will come." How are Baba Han's clothes? Unexpectedly, in 1997, Yaoan had already bowed. The more difficult it is for the mall to operate, the more aggressive their discounts will be, and the more aggressive they will exploit the vendors. At first, it was 20% off for the whole store, then it was buy 300 and get 100 free, and now it is buy 200 and get 80% off. The shopping malls will not bear the discounts given to customers and will all pass them on to the manufacturers. There are also more and more charging items. It used to be only admission fees and monthly deductions. Now, in addition to these, there are expenses for store celebrations, advertising expenses, New Year's Day, May Day, National Day, Mid-Autumn Festival, and Wednesday. The cost of 8 sessions and so on. These expenses are getting higher year by year. Xiao Zhao, we are now running a shopping mall. I have calculated that we almost don't make much money anymore. We just support people and earn some fame. But if fame cannot be exchanged for money in the end, this fame will, what's the use? Zhang Chen would not say these words to He Hongmei, but sitting here, he would say them to Xiao Zhao. He also told Xiao Zhao about the dream he had, which was to do a fashion show a year, all over the country and at home and abroad, going to the Great Wall, Sanya, Macau, Taipei. Zhang Chen started laughing as he spoke. Now that I think about it, Xiao Zhao, that was so childish and ridiculous, don't you think? We spent so much money and energy, but we just blew a bubble, and now it seems that this bubble has brought nothing. Zhang Chen also told Xiao Zhao the rumor that Xiaomi told him. Although it was a rumor, I thought about it carefully. Xiao Zhao, this will definitely happen eventually. That is Shanghai, Huihai Road, Huihai Road in Shanghai. Why? It is possible that such a large area of low-rise houses will always be allowed to exist. It will be a matter of time before they are demolished and converted into high-rise buildings. Zhang Chen does this every day, sitting with Xiao Zhao for a while. These words seem to be said to Xiao Zhao, but also to himself. After talking to himself for a while, he feels calm. Sometimes Zhang Chen would wonder, if Xiao Zhao was still alive here, would he truly show his vulnerability in front of her like this? Maybe, maybe not. He and Xiao Zhao started when they were at their lowest, and there was nothing to hide. If he didn't tell her, Zhang Chen felt that the most likely reason was because he was afraid that she would worry, rather than because he was afraid that she would laugh at him or look down on him. If you want to be rich and noble, why would you kill the person you cheated with back then? It's because you will expose his glorious image. A poor and humble couple can last for a long time. That's because you don't need to pretend. When you return home, you are still a real person. When Zhu Yuanzhang went to court, he was a majestic emperor. After he retired from the court and returned to Queen Ma, he was still Zhu Kongba. When Zhang Chen and He Hongmei are together, everyone takes it for granted and is urging them to ask when they will get married. But the strange thing is that when the two of them are together, they never seem to bring up this topic, and sometimes they even carefully avoid it. This problem. Zhang Chen's mother said to Zhang Chen very sternly, "You are irresponsible to Hongmei. You are married and have children. Hongmei does not. She is now in her 30s. Do you want to delay her? When will it be delayed until she can't even have a child?" Zhang Chen felt that what his mother said made sense, and it was indeed unfair to He Hongmei to delay it like this. However, when he tried to talk to He Hongmei about this, He Hongmei changed the topic and asked instead, "Why, I am in your heart, not your other half." Zhang Chen quickly said of course, but he knew in his heart that she was not ready yet. He Hongmei giggled, "Without that piece of paper, you would have never escaped from my clutches." Wen Wen and Qian followed He Hongmei back to Hangzhou, but they did not go home immediately. They all said that there was no point in going home at this time. The two got into Zhang Chen's e-commerce department. Wen Wen and Li Wei said, "Use your computers, Qian continue to sell clothes here." Wen Wen and Zhang Chen said that their red plum blossoms are now selling well online. Qian can already support themselves by selling clothes. Being an agent is my part-time job and my main business now. It's selling clothes. Is it that exaggerated? Zhang Chen asked. Of course, our workers spend 1/3 of their time doing red plum blossoms, Qian said. Isn't it the same here? Zhang Chen and his current e-commerce department can sell 50 or 60 pieces of clothing a day. Compared with before, the growth is indeed very fast, but compared with their output of more than 10,000 sets a day, it is not even a fraction. Wen Wen and Qian were very interested when they heard Zhong Peijun and Li Wei talking about Gong Shui. Wen Wen said, I'll come, I'll tease her," and they must grab the rope and pull the cow out. But she was digging out treasures and shouting kiss for several days. People said that they ignored her, but they continued to buy clothes. She seemed to prove her existence by buying clothes and used this behavior. In response to Wen Wen, "Get lost and don't harass me again. I'm so angry," Wen Wen walked into Zhang Chen's office and shouted at Zhang Chen and He Hongmei, "I want to go to Shanghai, to Jinmao Tower, to her door." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "You come to the door, but they still ignore you, block you out, or call the security guard and throw you downstairs. What should you do? Throw me downstairs? How dare she? I'm in Beijing and there's no building I can't enter. Why should they throw me downstairs?" Wen Wen shouted. "Then why did you come to the door?" Zhang Chen asked. "Who said that I have to talk to you when buying clothes? I only know that the salesperson must have a bad attitude towards the customer. I have never heard that the customer must have a good attitude towards the salesperson. Besides, people just ignored you and didn't scold you, it doesn't even count as having a bad attitude, right?" Wen Wen was speechless. After holding it for a long time, she said, "I'm just curious and want to see who it is." "Can't people not see you? Who are you?" "People will welcome you when you go," Zhang Chen asked. Wen Wen opened her mouth and had nothing to say. He Hongmei smiled and said, "Forget it, don't break this brother's fantasy." "What fantasy?" Wen Wen and Qian asked at the same time. He Hongmei said, "We judge that this Gong Shui must be someone that this brother knows, and maybe he admires him very much. What if you go and find out that this Gong Shui is an old lady in her 60s? Wen Wen and Qian laughed, and Wen Wen said, "Gong Shui, Duo Bingqing Yuji's name, what if she turns out to have a waist, legs and arms thicker than those of the weightlifting team, right, Mr. Zhang? These are pretty good. What if we find out that Gong Shui is a transvestite, actually a man, and has chest hair?" Qian said. The three people sat there, watching Zhang Chen laugh. Zhang Chen looked at them and shook his head helplessly. He picked up the phone, dialed a number, and said, "Come here." After a while, Lu Ligan walked in sleepily and asked, "Why did you call me so early in the morning?" Zhang Chen pointed at Wen Wen and Qian Qian and said, "Take your pair of Meng Liang and Jiao Zhan away." "Why, are they disturbing you and the Sichuan girl?" Lu Ligan asked. "Come on, we are a family that loves each other." As Lu Ligan said this, he reached out to pull Wen Wen and Qian Qian. Wen Wen cursed, "Get away, I haven't even wiped the shit out of my eyes. It still smells like smoke." Qian Qian also shouted. "Thank you for the reward." At around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, 2 fishes were placed one above the other, and the third one from top to bottom. Thank you to book friends 1204210123233923, Guandian Electromechanical, Naging Lao Dao, Xifeng, Daos Hung 123, and book friends 201809062232049344 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health.